How's everybody doing this good afternoon? I'm Chosen. Hi, sis. How are you? How's everybody? See, we have 16 people joining in with us today on the live. So far. Sis, you having a good week so far? How's your week going? Look at us with the same colors on. Can you hear me? I can't hear you. Is it me or is it you?
Oh, it's me.
I can hear you now. So look at us with the
Can
same
you hear me
colors
now?
on. I can. I can. Look at those
Okay,
great
great.
minds thinking alike, right? I was asking, how was your week so far? You had a good week so far?
Boom.
Can you hear me?
So far it's been a little trying, but for the most part, I can't complain. Yes,
Hey,
I can hear you.
girl, look, how much good would it do if we
Can you
complain?
hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you fine. I said, how much good does it do when we complain?
Right.
Do we get anywhere when we complain? Not much at all, anyway.
Not,
I don't think so,
not at
anyway.
all. If anything, we set ourselves backwards.
Have you did a Greek in the chat yet?
No. Before I greet the
Okay.
chat, though, I wanna check on you. How are you doing? And how's your week going?
Girl, I'm
You doing
blessed
okay?
and highly favored. Isn't that so cliche-ish? Blessed and highly favored, and the rest don't even matter. I'm doing good though. I am. How about the chat? Let's welcome some people
That's
in. Miss
right.
Judy, thank you for coming in. We have Miss Lasanda. Miss Jazzy
Hello,
Red is in the
chat.
building. We have Sparks with 10 S's, y'all. I actually took the time to count those S's. That's why I say Sparks with 10 S's. How about that? We have Miss Ronithia Wilson in the building, Miss Rosalind Crawford. Hi, Miss Crawford. We have Miss Sunshine that's
Right.
in the building. Miss Sunshine. We have Leland Cruz. Hey, Leland. We have Danielle, Miss Danielle Dunson. We have also Mr. Troy, Real Talk with Pratt. Andrea. Is it Andrea or Andrea? Or Andrea. How about that? We have also Steph's Puff and Stuff. She says, hello, ladies. Hi. All right. So today is Wednesday. And y'all know on Wednesdays we don't cook. I have a glare coming in, y'all. Give me a second. Let me try to dispose of this glare. I'm going to try to dispose of this glare today, guys. I'm going to try to do much, much better with keeping up with the chat. Uh, no silence involved in the background. And I'm turn this way a little bit and turn this light on.
Hey, Mr.
I'm so sorry. Okay. Oh, I still got a glare from
Troy,
somewhere.
Shelly Shell.
There we go.
Hey, Amber. Hey,
Miss
Pratt.
Elvis in the building. Hey, Miss Ambra. Miss
Steps and
Ambra.
Pup and Stuff. Hello there.
Can you hear me fine, Chosen? You can hear me well, sis? Can you hear me well?
Hey, Retta. Hey, Bay. I can hear you fine.
Good. Okay. So, y'all, today's topic is being at peace in the
Oh,
middle
boy.
of
Let me.
chaos. Are you hearing me well?
My daughter said I'm behind. Am I behind? My daughter said I'm behind. I'm lagging. Okay. Hold on. Hold on. Give me a minute. I think I may need to use my phone to log in because my computer is lagging a little bit.
Y'all hear me? If y'all can hear me clearly, please put a one in the chat. Nobody can hear me. I'm not on mute. All right. Am I on a lag as well? All right. Everybody can hear me. Thank God. I was saying that I want to try to have a more orderly live. We're moving along through the weeks, and we need to make sure that we can give you guys a better production. So, on today, we are talking about life in the middle of, well, being at peace in the middle of chaos. And sometimes I'm just going to start with my week this week. I've had a tumultuous week already. Like it's been a horrible week. Nothing to do with YouTube or the saga, just family issues all together, and like they just come back to back to back, like bam, 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 bam. But one thing that I do know and understand, when they say if God brings you to it, then He will definitely bring you through it. And so I have no other choice but to believe that. Like I have no other choice than to believe that. So this week alone has been filled with a lot of highs and lows for me. And out of those highs and lows, it's chaos. Yeah, out of those highs and lows are chaos. So I just wanted to take a moment to make sure that sis is not lagging anymore and that she can hear me. You can hear me well?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Can't hear anything. Hmm.
Welcome in, Miss Lisa. Thank you for coming in.
I turned the
Are we
Bluetooth
on the
on.
same sheet of music now?
Okay, hold on. Okay, there we go.
Um,
All right. I'm so sorry, guys. I thought my laptop would be okay today, but it's a lag behind it, so I got to figure that out. Why am I so far behind?
it's okay. It's okay. I was just sharing with everybody about, life, and being at peace in the middle of chaos. And I was sharing, like just this week alone. We're halfway done with Wednesday, but my Monday and Tuesday was just horrible. And I'm not going to say so much horrible, but I had bad experiences. And they were not YouTube related or anything of that nature, just life,
Right.
uh, just life itself. And a lot of people ask, well, how are you able to still smile? And you deal with so much and you do so much through it all.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a firm believer that if the Lord allows you to go to it, then He will certainly bring you through it.
That's right.
Um, and I just move forward, like one step at the time. Um, just one step at a time. Process of elimination and prayer.
Yeah.
And I take those steps, not necessarily in that order, but those are some of the things that I do to be able to function in chaos. Um, I have a large family, as you all know. My husband and I, we have 8 kids in total. We have grandchildren as well, in the home that we're raising. I have my elderly dad who's incapacitated in a wheelchair. I have him as well. Then I have a sister who's 60. She'll be 65 this year. That has a deficit, a mental deficit as well. And then I have a son who suffers with narcolepsy. So I deal with a lot, right? And you
Right.
would think, like, my God, Miss White, you deal with all of that. How do you ever find time for the back end?
The infamous
Good
back
question,
then.
right? Good
Yeah.
question. Like, how do you find time to even deal with all the buffoonery in the back end?
Right.
And I'm just gonna say I do know and I understand that I was built for it. I was made for it. You know, I'm on assignment, not only in my home life, but just as to who I am
Mm-hmm.
um as a person. As
Right.
a person. So sis, what are some of the things that you do? And y'all put it in the chat too, some of the things that you all do to deal with chaos.
Well, at one point, I didn't handle chaos well at all, and I still even have things that trigger me into PTSD
Hmm.
triggers. And before, I'm gonna say, before God brought me through a particular season, some years ago, a little bit over 20 years ago, I'm gonna say around 1999. That's when I recall our church had a declaration, and it was 1999 is the year. 1999 things are mine. In that same breath that the pastor was saying that, God was telling me that I was going to lose everything, but he also in the same breath told me that he was going to restore all, right? So I did. I lost everything from a husband to a home, to a job, to my mind. And when I would be faced with chaos, I would shut the world out. I would just like, I was the one that go to the room, shut the door, don't want to be bothered with nobody, right? And as I started seeking help and counsel, the thing that brought me to counsel was, for some of you, I've shared my DV story. You know, I had to figure out, I knew something was wrong with me,
Hmm.
because I put my children and myself in harm's way and danger, knowing that, you know, you go back and forth in a broken relationship that was never meant for you. You go back and forth on and off. But the one thing that made me know that I don't handle life well, I don't have the tools, because if I'm willing to take somebody back that literally strangled me, knocked me out, made my children look for weapons to defend their mom, while blood is gushing out of my face. And I'm like still contemplating, when this person is not intoxicated, they're fine. And I'm like, no, something is wrong with you. You need help. You're broken. So I then start seeking therapy. And
Hmm.
that's how I start learning how to deal with chaos and deal with triggers and confusion and life in general. You know what I mean? Because I was raised with a very strict upbringing. They say twice as green as a pool table, whatever that slang is. I grew up from the hood. I knew how to fight. I
Right.
knew how to cuss and do whatever when it comes to protecting myself. But to mentally think and learn how to navigate through life, I didn't have those tools. And not to blame my parents. My dad and my mom grew up from the same hometown, a block from each other. They're country people. So, however, my grandpa raised my dad. My dad is a quiet, laid back type of man. He doesn't like to talk,
Hmm.
talk. My mother on the other end, she had a house full of siblings. She's the oldest. And then I'm the oldest. So I think with my mom just, working, when I was a young girl, until her and my dad eventually got married. They got married when I turned 5, or a little bit right before, around, I'd say I was 5 years old. And like, around that time span, they kind of found their way to each other. My dad had went off to college. My mom had moved up here where we're living at now, and my dad followed her.
Mhm.
And from there they got married and they started popping out babies. And with me being the oldest and having parents to go to work, you're responsible for your siblings, but there's nobody there to really teach you. And
Yeah.
I kind of like never learned how to handle my emotions and things of that nature, if that makes sense. So chaos, no, I wasn't good at it. But now I think at 55, I have it somewhat mastered because at the end of the day, God is in control. Prayer, meditation, reflection, what you feed your spirit. When you don't want to hear your friend tell you it's going to be okay, you're like, how's it going to be okay? You have to remember that just because your friend is the vessel that God chooses, at the end of the day, God is still in control. So I look at life and chaos, putting God first above everything.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So, but again, I'm not perfect. I still have triggers. I still will
Yeah.
shut down and
Yeah.
disappear from people. But I'm like 99% better than I was, maybe even as less as 5 years ago. So the thing is just to grow.
Exactly. Exactly. And oftentimes, as I was listening to you speak, it sounds like that you have learned what triggers you,
Mm-hmm.
but you haven't found the right weaponry, the right weapons to use to combat it. Like I heard you say that your kids would go looking for weapons first. That was the first thing. Like you go into defense mode,
Mm-hmm.
and that happens a lot for everybody. But I skipped something, guys. And I want to go back to that because we have to first understand that chaos is not the same for everybody. And what one person would consider mess, foolishness, and chaos, it may be smooth as ice cream for someone else. So
Right.
everyone's level of functioning in it is different depending on what you're able to handle. And
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times, you don't know what you're able to handle until you actually begin to go through it. Like some
Right.
things we have to just simply go through, and then you'd be like, because you know how we say, "Oh, if this happened to me, then I'm going to do X, Y, and Z." I would have just, I bet you
Yeah.
I would have. And then when you go through it, you're like, I didn't handle that nowhere near how I thought that I would. So
Right.
I wanted to make sure that we all knew and understand. Before we go any further, let's
Everybody
see
knows different.
what the chat had to say when we asked them about how they handle chaos. Did anybody respond?
I don't think anybody handled how they would respond to chaos
Hmm.
in life, and what tools do they use um, when they have to combat chaos. And I definitely agree what you may go through. I might be like, oh, that's a walk in the park. I trade you any day. you
Yeah.
know yeah, everybody's measure is different.
Because if you were to put me in a small house with three or four people, that would be chaotic to me because it's not my norm. It's not
Hmm.
what I'm used to or am I accustomed to. So I would probably be, I would be out of my element. I
Hmm.
would be out of my element. I wouldn't know how to function.
Versus
Whereas,
a person that live in a car, you know, or a studio, because they don't have a choice. Yeah, I get it. I
yeah,
get it.
absolutely. But I will say, although I can handle chaos very well,
Mm-hmm.
I can function in it well because I've had not. Do I hear echo? Oh, not this today. Good Lord. Do y'all still hear me clearly?
You sound clear to me.
You always say that, sis.
Ashley
And I be
Jackson,
sounding like, "Woof, woof, 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 woof."
and I never hear that. Whoop, whoop, whoop.
Okay. So, a lot of people I saw where Ashley just said, let me go back. I saw her comment.
Yeah, she says she goes within and reevaluate, and then Miss Judy says it depends on what type of chaos, what's causing it, basically.
Yeah, that's good too because some chaos you just can't get away from. Some is by choice, some is by force. So some things you're able to walk away from, and some things you're just in it, like you're just there. And so that's a great word.
Analogy.
Um, something just happened here.
I know you blinked off and came back on the other side of the screen.
Hmm. Okay. Hi, Lady Love. How are you? We are talking about chaos, how we function in it, how do we find peace in it, and learning what. And Chosen went on to say that in chaos she's triggered, and from what I was hearing so far, that she has not learned coping mechanisms to help her with. Um,
Wait, sissy. I have some coping mechanisms, and that is to shut everyone out. Like if I'm on a phone and somebody's, in my ear and you can feel your insides literally like, oh, your blood pressure's going up, your heart's racing, I'll hang up the phone. Like, I would just simply hang up or I'll walk away. It's not a good coping mechanism, I'm sure. But before you would find me yelling at the top of my lungs, just like you wouldn't know what's going on. Like when I'm triggered, I scream whatever I have to say to the top of my voice.
yeah, yeah. So let me ask you, how far did it go? How did it help when you were screaming to the top of your lungs? What was the resolution from that?
It brought my blood pressure down and slowed my pulse rate down once I got it out the way that I felt like getting it out in that moment. But it still is not healthy, and you're disturbing neighbors. You're disturbing your household, and
Uh-huh.
you're being rude at the same time where that person that you're screaming at. Am I still on? Because my phone just rang.
Yeah, I can hear you.
That person that you're screaming at or that you're angry with, they might not even understand that they triggered you. You know, like they can be innocently talking to you about something and thinking that they mean no harm and coming from a good place, but you're like, okay, I don't want to discuss that or I don't want to talk about that, and they just keep going and going and going and going, and then boom, then you got to go back and apologize, say, hey, but they're not going to understand what in the world is going on with you. So I really haven't figured everything out, but think I'm not what I used to be. You know what I mean? I'm nowhere near what I used to be.
I'm gonna go to a comment. Um, Let me pin this comment as well. Hold on 1 second. Let me get to it.
Miss Judy, while she dropped down, let me read your comment. In my life, my husband grounds me. That BS yesterday, yeah, I haven't learned to control my anger issues yet, and I hold grudges for forever. Lady Love says it's funny. We was just talking about this, I promise you, 2 days ago. And hello to everyone in the chat that I missed speaking to. Thank you for joining us. Go ahead, Sissy.
No, I was listening to what you were saying, and I'm about to pin this comment um from Miss Judy. She says, "In my life, my husband grounds me. That BS yesterday, yeah, I haven't learned to control my anger issues yet, and I hold grudges for forever." And I can relate to that really, really good. Lady Love says, Miss White, I guess I don't handle chaos good because I completely shut down, never look at it like that until the other day. Hmm. I see that. So that's two, a few people saying that they just shut down, they walk away and they go away. And I guess for me, that has never been an option for me. I've never been able to just walk away because I have a lot of responsibility as I've had for quite some time. So that's never
Right.
been an option for me. So I guess I've just kind of been forced to have to deal with it. But I do know and understand that it's part of my calling.
Mm-hmm.
And NXS says, yes, Miss Judy, us Virgos never forget. That is so god awfully true.
Wonder
That's
what
so
is
god
Slated
awfully true.
love.
We have the memory of an elephant. We do. We have the memory of an elephant. Like we don't forget nothing. I dropped the link too if somebody want to come up while we're talking. Um, So, because I've never had that opportunity to just walk away from conflict, and listen, this has started since I was a child. It's just my responsibilities have changed through the years. Because even growing up in a home where there was domestic violence, I couldn't just go in my room and close my door and say, "I don't want to hear this. I don't want to deal with it." I had to deal with it. What was I gonna do? And
But how did you deal with it though? Like, what are
I did.
tools? You just went with it, and whatever happened, happened.
I didn't get tools until I became an adult because, as I had said, I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, like I was suicidal for a long time. I used to try to take my own life. And
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't until then that I began to learn coping skills because I understood that all these attempts that I had made on my own life, God wasn't going to allow me to go anywhere, that I had to complete the assignment. Because
Right.
I was doing things that like literally should have just taken me out. Period. Like
Mm-hmm.
no ways around it. And I just had to come to grips with who I am, who God had called me to be, and what my assignments were. You
Was this
know,
after you had children or before
it was before I had children.
that you found
It was
yourself
before
trying
I
to
had
take your
children. Yeah, I made one attempt on my life. I was becoming a mother, and just the look on my baby's face when I came to and she not understanding, like I gave it up. I was like, child, I'm here. Use me, God, however you choose. I'm here. Like, all right, I got it. I got it. I got it. And I just dealt with it. But um, I try to stay youthful. I like jokes. I like funny things that even when I'm having a rough time or a hard day or a rough week or whatever the case may be, funnies help ground me.
life?
Um, I like funny things. That's not necessarily one of my coping mechanisms. But that is something that I use to kind of keep me at a baseline, at a healthy baseline. In other
Mm-hmm.
words, Miss Judy says my military didn't calm my anger. The military didn't calm my anger like I thought it would. When I came home, my mama hid my military weapon card because she knew my temper. And Lady Love says, I don't like arguing. It takes too much out of me, literally. And you're
Yeah.
absolutely correct. Like, arguing, but let me stand down because it does take a
Mm-hmm.
lot out of me. But when I'm mad, I feel like I have a lot to give. Like it'll take a lot out of me, but I'll be here for it. I'll be like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
okay. Yeah, I'm here for it, baby. Now I'll be tired as crap afterwards, but I'm gonna stand my ground. I'm stand on 10 toes, and I'm gonna be with all the shit. Like
Right.
once you get me there, and it's
Mm-hmm.
and I find as I get older, my tolerance for BS is getting shorter and shorter. I do
Mm-hmm.
find that although I can still deal with a lot of things, I find my tolerance for BS to be getting shorter and shorter. Like it's a thin line there. It's not as much as it used to would have been.
I was thinking a lot of things that go on in society is because people haven't been trained, or how when we're young and in school you learn a pledge of allegiance, you learn to like you learn the school hymn or song, um, Black history, things of that nature. Now this is when I was in school, but it really, in my opinion, needs to be some type of class to teach people, coping skills for life in that moment and show examples of what can happen. Like if you go to the store, remember you and I were talking about, you at the store and, you get treated, racism, you experience that and you want to basically stand toe to toe with that person. It could be an employee, but when you think about it, what if security gets involved? What if the person actually thinks they're within their right to touch you or put their hands on you? To me, those chaotic type of situations can cause us, to not be here or to end up locked up behind bars. So
Absolutely.
yeah, definitely love some
Absolutely.
chaos.
Absolutely. So I do know we can go into a class about that because really all coping skills and mechanisms are not for the same people. Like, everyone is different. Everyone has different triggers, different reasons, it's a whole lot. So people have to learn what works best for them. But what we
Mhm.
can do is offer some techniques that they can try and then they can see if it actually works for them individually. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like kind of like that because what works for me, you'll be like, I tell you to try, you'll be like, Miss White, that did not work. Why did you tell me to do that? I still got in trouble, so
Yeah.
and that's where we begin to get in tune with ourselves better. Like we have to know who we are. And a
Mhm.
lot of times, even as adults, we're full and grown, and we like to say, I'm grown, but because we're grown, it doesn't make us right. And even as adults, a lot of us do not know who we are. We just simply don't. We don't know who we are. We don't know where we belong, what our place is, where our place isn't, what we can and cannot tolerate, so on and so forth. So,
I
um,
agree.
a lot of people just don't know. You guys, I dropped a link. You all can feel free to come up and talk about your experience or how you handle finding peace um, in the time of a storm um, and things of that itself. Because let me try to find the right way to say this so y'all don't take what I'm trying to say the wrong way. Because anger is not always a bad thing. Okay, anger is not necessarily a bad thing. I look at it as an enlightener as well, a highlighter, an enlightenment tool, highlighting things. Because how will you know if you do or don't like something unless it made you angry?
Right.
You know.
And I
Hi,
also
Robin. Thank you for coming in.
I think also it's important to categorize these emotions because even when we say chaos, um, chaos can be I got to take the kids to school. Out of one of those kids, I got to go to a zoo trip with them. Then I need to make sure I take such to the library. Like you're moving around, kind of chaotic versus chaos where the emotion of anger is intertwined in it as well. Chaos and anger, there's separate emotions. You can be in chaos and it could be a happy chaos, like planning a trip, and running around to get your bathing suit together, but you got a hair appointment at such time. Like chaos is just moving around, a lot of things on your plate at one time. But then is it a happy chaotic moment, or is it a chaotic moment where negative things are happening as well?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, I agree. I agree. Earlier when we first started speaking on it, I saw where some people were speaking, or was it you? Somebody talked about they go to the Word of God, that they go to the Bible. How many people in the chat? Can y'all give us a one if you're one of those who go directly to the Bible? to find their source of peace in the time of a storm.
And I ain't gonna lie, sissy. Sometimes I don't want to go to the Bible because I done already read the Bible front and back like 100 times. Like I know the words
Girl.
already. You know? I'm like, what am I pick up the Bible for? I can't even concentrate right now, let
Look,
alone read something.
I'm one of those, and I'm gonna be honest. Y'all remember one of Tyler Perry movies with Medea, and they were like, "Peace, be still." I got my
Hmm.
peace, and somebody gonna be
Right.
still. Mm. That has been me for a long time, and I'm not even going. And I still carry a weapon every day, everywhere I go to this very day, because I feel like I can reach and grab my weapon faster than I can flip the page to a Bible. Now I have a lot of scripture in my heart already,
Hmm.
already on go,
Right.
but it just depends on what it is. I'm not always ready for it. I'm not always ready, and it's not a good thing because as a Virgo, we woo, yeah, we a
You're
piece
not
of work.
already. You're not always ready to go. I rebuke you. Rebuke you with this. This.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
And a lot of times, I can get so angry that sometimes I'm like, did I do that? That was me. Oh God, that was horrible. Why did I do that? You know, and so I have to think about things a lot too because I can cut up. It just is what it is,
Yeah.
and it's kind of crazy because as many people as I help, and I can speak so calm to them, I can soothe and make people feel better about themselves. And then just in a moment of transparency, guys, I can do all that, and I have the capability to do all that, but I find it hard to keep my own self calm.
Hmm. That's weird
Yeah,
though. Yeah, it's funny.
you
It
think
be like
so?
that too. It be like
Yeah.
that. Yeah. Yeah. Because I tell you, when like I can take a lot of stuff, personally from people I don't know, from people I do know. I can let it slide and ride. But now mess with somebody that I love and care about, like
Mhm.
I don't care what the consequences are. I know either I better just walk away and go, or if I stay, it's gonna be some smoke. And my temper used to be so terrible. Like before I actually start seeing and seeking therapy and counsel, whew, my temper was off the chain. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
then I just turned into this big old pussycat. Do whatever you want to do to me. Run over. I'm chosen. It's okay. But now run over something that I love, and baby, you got problems. Miss Judy, I think we're gonna have to put her in anger management for real.
Oh yeah.
Hey,
I want to
Samantha.
I want to briefly touch on, it's a part of a scripture that gets thrown around so loosely about peace and when they and confusion and conflict.
Mhm.
When they say, God is not the author of confusion. And I'm not being a smart ass when I say but you have to remember what was said by our Father was written in red. Okay?
Mhm.
Well, it was written in red. And then you go back to that scripture. I think it's in Corinthians, because the Corinth was the beginning of the church, and there was a lot of confusion going on about how the church was supposed to be done and made. And people would take that scripture and use it for their own.
Whatever. Yeah.
hmm You know,
God is not in the middle of this chat. He's not the author of
and Paul was
confusion.
simply reminding them of what they had already been taught
Mhm.
about entering the conflicts and opinions about the gospels of the truth. So, but people will take it and say God is not the author of confusion, which is very much true, but they sometimes can misconstrue that scripture to say, because sometimes like how we started it, some conflict just cannot be alleviated. Some is by choice, some is by everybody's in different situations. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And a lot of people like to go to that and use that as a weapon against people.
Mhm.
to try to be smart about a situation or to get out of a situation
To
or,
get out of.
different things like that. Yeah. And we have a tendency to weaponize the word of God for
Mhm.
our benefit, which I
Right.
think sucks. I think sucks. So,
Yeah, it's that part though has been going on since the beginning. You know, back to the slave masters. Use the word of God for um their narrative. So, and it's not actually what it always is. So Miss Judy
yeah.
says she's been at anger management 5 times. It don't work. Miss Judy, I don't know what we're gonna do with you,
Is
honey.
what she said? I want to see.
She's been to anger management 5 times. It doesn't work.
Miss Judy, what were some of the coping skills they gave you in anger management? Or did they give you any? Because a lot of times people will just tell you your triggers, but they don't give you the tools necessary to help you get through the triggers. Like they give you a screwdriver to use when you should have actually had a wrench, or
Mhm.
they give you a wrench when you should have had a pair of pliers.
Mhm.
That's why I say everything don't work for everybody.
Right.
I sound muffled to myself. Do I sound clear to everybody?
Can you drop a one in the chat if she sounds clear to you guys?
I
Please.
kind of hear that little muffled sound a little bit.
Let me mute my mic and see if it helps.
She says, I don't remember because the counselor just irritated me and made me want to punch them. I didn't like their approach and how they spoke to people. Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's another thing because all counselors and therapists are not for everybody. You have to find someone who you can gel with, who you feel good about. Who you're happy to go see instead of, oh Lord, day therapy day, I don't want to go. When you start feeling like that, that's not where you need to be. But I understand in your case, Miss Judy, if you were military, I think back then it was Champus, now it's Tricare, but they didn't give you much of a choice. You went where they sent you.
Mhm.
Like, here, this is where you're going. So I do remember those days. I definitely do remember those days. So she probably wouldn't have had much of a choice. So,
Right.
um, hold on one second, sister. Can you read in the chat or something? I need to just take care of something really, really quick. It'll take me a
Okay.
small second. All right.
Okay. Hey, Miss Sexy Ray, Robin, NXS, Lady Love. Hey, Big Cheese. Thanks for joining us. Hey, Stokes. Hey, Tara Marie. Hey, Miss Sandra. Miss Judy, you said the court sent you to avoid charges. Ooh, girl, your temper must be terrible, honey. I think you need to catch this link and tell us why are you such a firecracker. Hey, Erica.
She was
Has
military, born, raised, and bred. What's your voice, Miss Judy? What was your OS?
you came back and was staticky, breaking up, sis.
Are you serious?
Life and people don't know how to listen to warnings. Sounds like you're a person that if you poke the bear, some people can poke the bear, poke the bear, poke the bear. All you got to do is look at you, Miss Judy. Yeah.
Yeah, some people can poke the bear, but what get it for me is people don't even realize they see him sitting there, like you don't even know he's asleep until you wake up, and you're like, "Oh shit, I didn't know he was asleep. Oh, I didn't really know it was a bear." I'm like, "Yeah, it's a whole bear there. Back up, leave it alone." Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What would you
Anybody else? I'm
say?
gonna drop that link again. Where Miss Lisa at? I thought I saw her. Surely she want to come up and talk about some chaos because she's had her fair share that she shares quite frequently.
Who?
Miss Lisa.
Oh, Miss Lisa. I saw her
Mhm.
earlier in the chat.
Miss Judy said if they poke, they get the bear, the lion, tiger, and the panther. I know that's right, Miss Judy. I know that's right. And then they be shocked. Then they be shocked, like, what did I
Right.
just do? What had happened was, they be on that. Dude. What had happened was
Something
what
you
had
know not to
happened.
do again.
Mm-hmm. But like as for myself, when my week was going so starting off, like just
Hmm.
starting off horribly, I went and put in some funny movies. Like, well, stream some funny movies because it takes my mind off of it. Um,
I cannot.
you
Like
can't
nothing would make me laugh if I'm in a bad headspace. I put on funny movie. It's not gonna be funny to me. It's just weird, you know.
because you're just angry. You haven't
Yeah.
learned to find peace on the inside. Yeah,
Hmm. When I'm angry,
that's typically
angry. Yeah.
that's typically what happens with that. That's typically what happens with that.
I
Hmm.
think it's a good thing though that not much makes me angry anymore. I get more hurt now. Sometimes if I'm hurt, after the hurt eases up, then I get mad. If I'm hurting first and then I get mad, that's bad. Yeah, because you get to dwelling and thinking about things and pondering over it. You know.
Yeah, yeah. But that's just what I do when if it's funny, it's funny. And I guess because I have learned through the years to just to find my inner peace. But like when I'm really, really in my feelings, baby, when I'm in my feelings, the pots and pans are coming out. They are coming out. I'm gonna cook or I'm gonna go work in my garden. And unfortunately, in the winter months, I don't have that pleasure of going out into the garden to work as I would like to.
Mhm.
So I'll be cooking. But in the summertime, I kind of split it up. I cook as well as go out in my garden. And I think I talked to some of the ladies before about grounding. And it's everybody in the chat who I talked to about grounding, I think we're on Don's live. Do you all remember that talking about grounding? Is there anybody in the chat who knows what it is about grounding? Outside grounding? Anybody? Can you put a one in the chat if you're familiar with it?
Taking your shoes off and just walking through the soil, earth. I told you I grew up in the
Hmm.
country. Soil, rocks, gravel. Woo, hot rocks.
Miss Judy says, I love grounding. I'm a country girl in the city. Amen. And let me tell y'all ladies something. It might sound like, oh, you dirty or oh, this, that, or the other, but I find it to be everything. I can't even really
Can't
define it for
describe
you
it.
really good, but it gives you so much relief, a sense of just, because we came from the dirt, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
We all come from the dirt. So it's almost like becoming one with who you are from where you began, so to speak. I can't really explain it, but I just know my mood gets better, my thoughts get better,
Mhm.
my blood flow seems to be improved so much. And I was introduced to it actually. I saw old people do it a lot, but I didn't really know what it was or what it did. But when I was diagnosed with lupus, one of my medical facilitators or somebody along the way had introduced me to grounding. They said, because I told them I like to garden. She said, "Do you ground?" And I was like, "No." And then she began to talk to me about some of the positive things that come out of it. And I was like, "Oh, okay." And she explained to me about how you can rebuild yourself from the ground and uh, get your pain under control better, how you sleep better. It reduces your stress,
Yeah.
give you energy, all of that. And I started trying it, and absolutely, I love it. I love.
Mhm.
You know how when your kids were little, they go outside and they play in the dirt, and it seems like when you come in and feed them, bathe them and feed them, they had the best sleep ever after
Right.
they were just so dirty from playing in that dirt.
Mhm.
But it's so much more to it than that.
Did you used to
Miss,
make mud pies, Sissy?
hmm
Mud pies, mud cake. You take your little water outside and play in the dirt. I used to love doing that as a child.
yeah, it has a spiritual part to it, and yeah. Miss Judy says you become one with the earth and take it is the polarity of the earth's positive charge. Absolutely. She was saying in the earth's positive charge. So, ladies or gentlemen, it's not just ladies. If there are any men in the chat, I also recommend that you try grounding. When life is hard, things are rough, take your shoes and socks off and get out there and find you some good, rich, not wet dirt, but with some
Right.
humidity in it. And just do your prayers, your meditation, talk to God or whoever it is that you choose to serve and get in the ground with it. And I guarantee you will feel a lot better afterwards. I guarantee you. Look, I'm put my right hand on it.
Mhm.
Put my right hand on it. You will feel better because, like Miss Judy explained, it is a charge that comes from that. Very much so.
Mhm.
She says, I prefer taking the water hose, salt and pepper shaker, and sitting in the garden eating.
I know
Yeah,
that's
I do a lot of that too, honey. I do a lot of that too. I like to pick my stuff right up off the plant. Yep.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's something I'm gonna try to introduce my mom to. Maybe we can journey that together because she has a nice sized backyard and she keeps saying she really wants a garden. So I'm gonna have to see how we can work that out. I want to get her a garden. She loves flowers. Every year for Mother's Day, I plant her flowers. But the yards, honey, up here where we at in the city, like I'm a country girl in the city,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you got to deal with those little moles, the little rodents that mess up your yard. I forget what they're called. I think they're called moles.
It's
Uh,
different kind of bugs. It's all kind of things. Now, when you say garden, you're saying flowers. When I say garden, I'm talking about fruits and vegetables. I'm talking about peas, greens, beans, okra,
yeah,
squash, tomatoes. That's when I say
both.
garden. So
Both. I love flower gardening,
okay.
but my mom wants fruits and vegetables back there. So I want to
Hi,
do
Upton.
that.
We call a flower. We call flowers. We call it the flower bed. Like go out there in the flower bed, and for fruits and vegetables, we say the garden. So,
Yeah.
uh, yeah. But I do both. But my love is I just like to watch my stuff grow. Um, I told my husband when he what we call turning the land over before it gets cold, turning the soil to
Chilling the
get your
spirit.
garden ready for the next season. I,
Mm-hmm.
I explained to him it's just like raising children that daddy comes in with the strong arm and the firm hand, and mommy comes behind them with love and nurture. And we grow our plants like we grow our children.
That's what's
So
up.
that's I
Hey,
saw Miss Sexy Ray
Abigail.
gave her one, so she's tried grounding. Did you see a difference in your experience after grounding, Sexy Ray?
MJ, I don't have. I stay in an apartment building, so my mom would be. Her house is the only one I would be able to do any type of gardening at. Um, you know, she has a nice size. As a matter of fact, the block behind her, like if you look in my mom's backyard, we are like we're close to the stadium. My mom is close to the stadium, and where they play football. Kansas City Chiefs play football at. And you would never think you'd look in your backyard and see cows. My mom literally can look out of her kitchen window and the people have cows in their backyard. Matter of fact, I might even seen some chickens back there. But it's separated and fenced, and they have their little land. My mom has her land, so I said, well, I don't know what this body will let me do, but I'm gonna try to do something with my mom
You'll
as
be
well.
surprised. Even with the pain, just getting out in the dirt, I'm promise you, it's a healing element. Like you're not gonna know that. And you saw me smile when you started saying that because I grew up what we call I grew up on the land. So I grew up um, watching the elders. You know, they could take a chicken and wring its neck, and head be broken. He still be running around with his head cut off. So that's where the term come from. Literally, like when they say run around like a chicken with the head cut off.
Right.
Like that's literally because when you cut the chicken head off, it would still be running around like,
Mhm.
and then eventually would fall down.
I never get
um,
to see no chickens get ring. Mm-mm.
Yeah, I grew up in that like my family they slaughtered hogs and pigs and they didn't throw away nothing but the blood of it. Like even the fat off of it they made soap with it. Like a lye
Wow.
soap. So they didn't waste anything. Like I grew up country girl.
I
country,
think if
country.
I hit the lottery, sister, I would want a farm. I would want it all, the my own animals, but then I'd probably be messed up and wouldn't be able to, take them to get them ready
Well,
for
you
it.
know, it's a lot of work in farming. So
Woo.
don't reevaluate. You know, back in the day, that's why they had so many children. You know, they didn't have children because they loved children. They needed the hands to tend to the farm.
Right.
So you have to be careful of that. So yeah, yeah. So anybody have any questions so far? Anybody want to talk and tell us about how you gather your peace in the middle of chaos? Anybody?
Anybody,
Anybody?
anybody.
Little Spur said, "Yep, kids were made for working." That's the truth. They didn't have babies because they were just so in love with all these little babies
Right.
running around. Honey, they needed them hands.
Mhm.
I think my dad says that he had to start working in the field on their land. He wasn't even tall enough. He had to get on a milk crate. He was that small.
Mm.
Hmm He knew how to do it, but he was small. He had to stand on a milk crate.
Wow.
I learned how to drive like in the tobacco field on a tractor. That's how I learned how to drive 5 speed. Yeah.
Hmm. I've
Miss
seen
Judy
plenty
said,
of rice fields. Never tobacco though.
"Oh yeah,
Yeah.
tend to the farm and raise and dress the show animals, get the animals prepared and trained for 4-H rides and festivals." Are you talking about 4-H, Miss Judy, like the summer enrichment program 4-H, or are you speaking of something else? Because I remember being in 4-H, but I think it was like a youth enrichment program or a summer program or something like that. Is that what you're referring to? She said she learned how to drive on the Ford F-150 to haul feed. So if that's the 4-H you're talking about, Miss Judy, they also had an extended program, and I cannot remember the name of it for the life of me, but it'll come back to me because I worked on a farm. They were trying to help teach us to transition. So my very first job that they got me through that program was a guidance counselor assistant at one of the country schools to try to help conform us from farm work
Mm-hmm.
into becoming more productive citizens outside of the farm.
Hmm. Sissy, you know
Look,
what? I
mm-hmm.
wanted to tell you. You look so pretty.
Oh,
You're so
thank you.
pretty.
Let me tell you, yesterday when I turned my camera on, I hear this so much. They be like, "Miss White, your voice is older than you," or "You look so young." All of that, and I'd be like, "Huh?"
You
I don't
almost
really know how
like
to take
have
it.
this glow though today. Like you're pretty, but like today it's like you just have this glow. Like I'm thinking that maybe last Saturday's topic might have, I don't know. Last thing.
Girl, look. No, I ain't gotta have no topic to get on that, honey. I ain't gotta have no topic to get on that, honey. Look, I love that. I love pleasing
Oh
my man.
Lord.
Yeah, that glow don't come from that,
Mhm.
baby. Mm-mm. It don't have to be a special occasion at all. It definitely don't have to be a special occasion, baby. Mm-mm.
You say I
Let's
like my
process. Yes,
husband.
your voice is mature. And maybe it's because of my life experiences. I don't know. It could be because of my life experiences. Mm-mm. But I'm not as young as people think I am. I go out with my girls and they be like, "Who the mama?" Or they might say "ma," because we say "ma" here. They might say "ma," and they be like, "Ma, I thought that was maybe your older sister or something." I'm like, "No, those are my children. My oldest is 36.
Hmm.
I know they're my kids. What do you mean?"
I
Uh,
know that's always a compliment when you hear somebody say, "Mama." It's like,
they're
yeah,
like, "Nah, but girl,
yeah.
I ain't no spring chicken." Yeah, I think my husband looks really good for his age too. Like he's older than me, but I mean he still has his college physique and everything. Like he got to
Hmm.
go in there. And let's see, Miss Judy says yes, but they also teach horse riding lessons, some farming skills. They have horse riding trails. My family allows them to camp in their property during the trails. Yeah, so you know what I'm talking about. I can't think of the name of that program, but it'll come to me. When I remember it, Miss Judy, I'm gonna tell you the name of it. Miss Judy also says you have a Maya Angelou voice. It's a voice of experience. Honey, let me tell you something. I have experience. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
I've been writing a book, Miss Judy. I've been writing a book for probably about 8 years now.
Mm.
And when I tell you it's a lot to be said, but it also triggers me and it puts my emotions in a very bad place. So I have to walk away and sometimes for months. But God had already given me the revelation of the beginning and the end of my book.
That's
He has
awesome.
given it to me. I have seen the beginning and the end of it.
Mm. That's awesome. My mom is always trying to encourage me to write a book. And I'm just like, well, if I write a book, some people gonna be mad at me, but I don't know. I may do
Yeah,
it. I may.
I
Did
encourage
you
you.
say
I mean, even if you don't do it for publishment,
that?
just you know, I believe um, pen to paper, uh,
Mm-hmm.
that kind of thing, journaling. It's a great experience to help people be able to even to be able to put their things in perspective in the right categories and
Mm-hmm.
make better decisions. Because you can go back and look at, the Bible tells us to write a vision and make it plain.
Yeah.
Uh, but just not even just for your decision making, but helping you sort things out and be able to
Right.
compartmentalize things to
Mm-hmm.
give us a better understanding.
A man without a vision.
Mm. Yeah, what?
Right.
Perish.
Yes.
Yes. So,
Yep. I remember there was a time that I just with you know all the natural given talents that God, you know, blessed me with. Um, I can just remember a time, you say you literally try to take your life. I never tried to purposely take my life, but it was so many months, so many days, so many weeks that I literally wished for death. I literally wished that God would take me, you know. And when you're dealing with chaos and go back to that, it's so hard to focus on anything else. And like you say, writing a book, like, and my mom's like, you should write a book. Like, I can't even think straight to focus straight. You know what I mean? To try and focus on anything, you know.
well, what you can also do is get you a recorder. I mean, now you can do it from your phone and just start talking. Just start talking, and there are people who will write the book for you. They'll listen to your voice, your memoirs that are being recorded, and they'll develop your words for you on paper.
Mm-hmm. You want to read some comments, Sissy?
Absolutely good. I got to plug my phone up on the charger while if you read some comments.
Okay. So, Lux, I saw your comment. Taking a breath from social media when you're feeling overwhelmed or overstimulated is a good way to regain your peace. And I agree. You know, like I will shut social media down and disappear so fast. You know, my mom be like, "Did you see such and such on Facebook?" I haven't been on Facebook. I'll get on it for 1 minute, scroll, boom, I'm off. You know, at one point, Sissy was like, "I haven't seen you in any chats," you know, because I'll get overwhelmed and I'll just shut it down, you know, triggers. And then being that, you know, when you're an empath, um, I am an empath. And I've also been studying, you know, the types of, there's like 13 of them, different types of empaths. But when I turn on the news or when I first go to social media and the first thing I see is an animal being abused, I might not even be following that channel, but that seems to be the first thing that pop up on my timeline, you know, if I'm on Instagram or something like that, or the algorithm has called, you know, somebody's channel and they're showing an animal being abused, or they're showing a woman being abused, you know, and it's so emotionally draining to me. I'm just like, I've had enough. I gotta shut it down, or I gotta really be extremely careful. So anybody that's triggered easily by things, um, I definitely agree with Lux. You want to definitely take a break from social media. But then you have some people that I've noticed also that they talk to social media like social media is an actual entity, you know, like it makes you wonder, like, does this person have anybody physically present in their life, because they get on social media and they just say every single thing that pops in their brain, you know, or every negative thought, or you know, I've come across people that are like extremely depressed and have said, "I'm ready to end it all," you know, on Facebook, you know, strangers, you know, and ended up being a friend, you know, later on, because I'm not going to read something like that and just let you just be there and not try to extend or show any compassion or humanity. So, like, I've made a couple friends like that. It's really weird, you know, but still, those type of people, I can't stand to watch a lot of their content if they're always draining to me emotionally, you know. But then I just want people to be mindful that social media can definitely be draining. So take a break as often as needed. You don't owe anybody anything, any excuse of where you've been or any of those. You got to take care of your mental. And if it's mentally draining on you, you have to find balance. And Elisa, you say you asked a question. Let me go back to your question. What does it feel like to be you? Oh, Elisa wants to know, what does it feel like to be you? She says,
To be
"Hey,
me,
yeah." She says, "Hey, Mrs. White and panel, Miss White for Mother's Day. Will you be interested in having an open panel? Title: What does it feel like to be me?" Referring to you. Hey, Cancer. Yeah, she wants to know, would you consider having an open panel for Mother's Day and um, discussing what it feels like to be you? No one's ever asked, at least in a chat, what it feels like to be you.
you know what? That's a great question, though, and I can answer that question because for myself and what it feels like to be me, I'm a selfless person, and I put other people before my own self, and I get pleasure and joy from knowing that I help somebody. Like that gives me a good thought. It gives me good feelings, and I get good sleep at night. Um,
Mhm.
I it's very hard for me to feel defeated in some things, but sometimes I do because I work very hard trying to help other people out. And when things don't always go as I think they should, I can feel a little defeated. But overall, I feel good being me. Um, I don't feel disappointed in myself for who I am. I just feel good about being me.
Mhm.
I'm okay with me. I'm okay with me.
I know that's
I'm
right.
okay with me. Yeah. Um, but yes, I think that's a very good idea to have an open panel on Mother's Day. You give some shout outs to some moms, only women. I have a complex about when Mother's Day and Father's Day come, and women want to say I'm my child's father, and that kind of irritates me because you're not. You're their mother. You may have to take on two roles, but you're definitely not their dad. We have to give our men back their rightful place. If we want them to be men, we have to allow them the opportunity to do so. That's just a personal opinion that I have, though.
Yeah.
Um,
Hi, Miss Lady. Welcome in. Welcome
I'm,
to our
I'm
channel.
gonna drop the link again if anybody wants to come up. Elisa, you want to tell us how it feels to be you? Miss Judy says I've actually been more on Facebook and TikTok more lately than YouTube because it's just too much. And you know what? I wanna comment on piggyback on what Sissy was just saying because if YouTube is too much for you or you find yourself being consumed, I suggest that you back up because it's not for everybody. It's not for everybody. I promise you it's not. And
Right.
I see I'm not blind, I'm very observant. I see what even in my own situation where people feel like let me make sure I'm choosing it, that I'm in a lot of the back end stuff and they feel a way about it, but I'm comfortable and it's and I can handle it. And the moment that I feel like I can't, I'm gone.
Mhm.
I'm gone because listen, one thing that I do know and understand is that my family needs me more than anybody, you know. My household is taken care of, my family, my kids, my finances, I'm okay. And God has allotted me extra time and space and opportunity to be able to reach out and help others. And y'all have heard me say 100,000 times, and you'll probably hear me say it 200,000 more times, that when God gives you gifts and talents, that you use them wherever you are. You don't just pick and choose. Like you don't just go to church to do God's will.
Right.
Your gifts and talents go where you go. He gave them to you for His glory, not for our own. So if it's on YouTube for me right now, then so be it. Right now it's on YouTube.
Mhm.
So, but if you find yourself being overwhelmed and too deep, overstimulated, like she said, you don't owe anybody anything. Log the hell off.
That's right.
Get off of YouTube, because the same problems are going to be there when you come back.
Yep.
The same problems. You're not going to miss nothing. And if you do, you can go hit the replay.
Yep. That's right.
I have named it, guys, and I'm not being funny, but months ago I named it the Latruth Saga Syndrome. And a lot of people were dealing with that, the Latruth Saga Syndrome. And I see a lot of people who are fighting and struggling with that.
Yeah.
And that's another one of the reasons why I started getting involved on the back end. Because I saw
Mhm.
some people really struggling with some things.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Did you
that's what I
see?
saw it.
Look at Lux question. How is Shells? Thank you for joining us. Joining us. Did you want to answer your reason first, Sissy?
My reason?
Yeah. Read Lux comment.
Yes, identify triggers. Knowing when to disengage is a good form of protection. A lot of battles are more spiritual, mental than the actual person. Girl, you better preach. You better preach. And you're so right. So how can we not know what spiritual and mental wellness and healness is, and understanding that, and then turn around and say, how can you be there for people you've never seen before?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So Lux, she also asks, what made us make the decision to join this fight for Robert's side? She knows her reason for it, but she wants to hear, what drew us, or what was the reason that we decided.
Okay. Well, first off, let me put this disclaimer out here because we had agreed that we weren't going to discuss saga issues on this channel. But that is a fair question. So I will engage with the question, and my reason is, I could relate. I could relate through my husband as well as my son. They've both been through similar circumstances that I had to stand on the battleground for with them both for. My husband for his daughter, my son going through an ugly divorce for his two sons. And my son was determined that he was not going to be a statistic. It wasn't about not paying child support or any of that. He didn't want his kids calling nobody else dad or any of that. And honestly, no one could hear his voice because they were blinded by my ex daughter in law's beauty. So no one could hear his voice. And I took a stand. And even for my husband, I knew my husband when he was going through a divorce. We all used to go to church together. I didn't know he was going through a divorce. But later, when I found out, I assisted him and helped him with some things that he didn't know and understand. Fast forward, we ended up dating and seeing each other, kind of feeling each other. We started dating, and bam, here we are. So that's my reason. What was yours, Lux? What was your reason for joining in? The
Yeah.
link's there if you would like to grab the link. I'll redrop it if you want to grab the link to come up and expand on that comment as well.
And Lux, if you want to grab the link and come up while you're doing that, um, I personally, um, I followed them as a couple, um, and I stayed neutral. I missed the announcement of him being uh, a woman, you know. I miss her going live saying that, but what I did not miss was her laying in the bed and making the 911 call. And once she did that, it just enraged me. My mind automatically went to George, um, to the man dying with a police officer's knee on his neck, cutting his airway off. George Floyd. My mind went to like my mind just zipped through so many black men being taken away from us prematurely, and it just really enraged me. I didn't come to YouTube on purpose. I came to YouTube because I was actually in his chats or in his posts a lot and going back and forth with the other side, you know, and feeling what those comments probably were making him feel like, for me to not never see a man display um anything but positive content. I've never seen him do negative content. He's always tried to add some type of smile to someone every day, you know, and that's rare for a man to purposely try to create content. So it let me know that he was a good person, not a perfect person, but a good person, and he didn't deserve what he was getting. So I just kind of was pushed into stand in the gap, and pray and pray. and pray and feel his pain. You know, there was a point in the saga where I literally, his pain went through my body. You know, I was put in a position to actually experience that. And from there, you know, God, when you include God in your decisions, he tells you when to go, when to walk light, when to tread light. Then you have us, we get in our own flesh, you know, we're not always walking in the spirit. Myself, primarily, I'm speaking about, you know. So, you know, it was a reason. Because if nothing else, I would say YouTube is a place where the chats are a lot more intimate and it's so much easier. It's something unique about YouTube. People say YouTube is can be vicious and ruthless. That's true, but no more vicious and ruthless than Facebook or any other internet channels. And I feel like um, with it being so much more intimate on an intimate level, I've 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 met so many good people through this saga, and it
Yep.
wasn't on purpose. It was because God already spoke the word before I was ever created in my mother's womb. Say all things work together for the good, you know. But like when you think about it, it just is mind blowing because I never would have thought that I would meet a woman at this time in my life and feel like I've known her my whole life. Like I trust her, you know what I mean? Like I would trust this woman with everything that I have and everything that I am. And she's not even blood related to me, you know. So that is
Yeah. Well, I
why
always say blood makes you related. Loyalty is what makes you family. That's what I always say. Lux Pearl, welcome to the
you're
Hey,
stage.
welcome, girl.
Label.
hey, thank you for
Beautiful
having
Um, I
me.
love.
saw I saw your comment too. So let me say this: we never put a disclaimer out there, so I'm not you not being disruptive at all. It's just something she and I talked about. So you're not being disruptive. We've never put a disclaimer out there publicly. But go ahead, lady. I'm
Yeah,
listening.
but I totally understand. I don't. Am I breaking up? Cause y'all are
No,
kind
I
of
can hear you.
going in and out.
Yeah,
Okay,
you sound good. I'm gonna mute my mic.
okay. Um, well, my answer would have been too long to type, so I was like, let me just go up. If you hear stuff in the background, I'm cooking, so I'm sorry.
All right. Welcome in,
Um,
Chris.
Yes, ma'am. So what drew me in to the store and not I guess to you know make this a whole nother saga series type of, channel.
Mm-hmm.
Just giving my
Mm-hmm.
answer as to what drew me in to
Yeah.
this space. Um I have experience with domestic violence firsthand. Um what drew me in was my triggers. um, I come from a household that uh, had a whole lot of domestic violence between my mom and my dad. My dad used to literally put his hands on my mama every Friday. And so, growing up and being the older sibling in the home and getting to the point to where I'm seeing this and I'm literally refereeing the situation. I'm jumping in between my parents to protect my mom. I'm doing things to kind of, um, like, I guess, detour my dad from, his little drunken rages, things like that. Kind of really left a scar um, as I grew, because, like I said, it really was a weekly thing. So it it was very traumatic, So me hearing about her story in the beginning, and also too, just to piggyback. So my parents was together for like 30 plus years. So my mom literally just left him. I want to say when all of us left the house and became grown. So she stayed with my dad for 30 plus years and endured um, domestic violence for that length of time because she felt like you know, back in the days, how they kind of teach you to stay with your mate, you know, through thick and thin, and all of that. So she come from that era to where you stick it out, you know, with your husband through thick and thin,
Mhm.
and that thick and thin for them was domestic violence. So no matter what he did to her, how bad the damage was, she never left. And um of course, me being the older sibling and trying to just keep things regulated, it really kind of um, like put some things in me to where I ended up in a similar situation myself. And so when I came across Brianna, I used to see Robin and Brianna all the time. And I, you know, thought this is such a lovely couple. You know, they seem so happy, all smiles. It's always been positivity. So
Mm-hmm.
it was a giant blow to see the opposite. You know, it really blew me because this is a couple to me that was like on, they were couple goals. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So to see it flip like that, it really drew me in. And then I immediately believed her, and I went to battle for her. So in the beginning, I was a Bree supporter, and I gave Robert their business. Like how I be over here acting up sometimes in the comments,
You're right.
I gave Robert the business in the beginning because
Wow.
I believed what she was saying. So, and the reason why I believed it was because I was triggered from my own, you know,
Right.
experiences.
Right.
And
Mhm.
so, um, once I found out, and once I started examining her a little more, and things just started to not add up, and I really saw the truth, it angered me. And
What helped you? I'm sorry to cut you off. What helped you to stay, okay, I'm tripping. I'm on the wrong team. I'm supporting the
mm,
wrong person. Was it the 911 call she made? The fake 911? Well, the real 911, but the
um, for me, it was seeing the constant different videos of her recanting her story.
mm,
And what really did it for me was watching her body language when they attempted to have a conversation online, where he went over and where she came to his house and he was recording. He was sitting in the all red, and she was pretending to be
mm-hmm,
triggered, or pretending, in
mm-hmm.
my opinion, she's pretending to look a certain sort of way,
Yeah.
but you're doing it because you don't want to look stupid. That's how I
Mm-hmm.
took it. Like you're
Yeah.
you're putting on the show because you really want your husband, but you know you've made a mess out here and you can't look stupid. So you're acting like you don't want to be here when you really do.
You're
So I
right.
just read her body language, and I read through
Body language
all
is
of it.
key. For me, I
Mm-hmm.
never took a side in the beginning, like because I canceled, and my husband and I were over the marriage ministry at our church, so we see a lot, right? We see a lot,
Mm-hmm.
we hear a lot, da 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 da. I'm not foolish enough to not believe that. I don't care how good a relationship looks on the outside, they all have something going on.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
it was cues long ago before this, and nobody never knows what skit I'm talking about, but it was a prank. And she was doing a prank on him, and they were at a TGIF or Outback, or a chain restaurant. I do know that.
Mm-hmm.
And she was pranking like she was upset. I don't know if y'all remember that. The baby was just born. She was in the little thing, and it wasn't what she did, but it was his reaction when he said, "I can't never do nothing right. Every time I take you somewhere, you always complain." It was somewhere along those lines.
Mm-hmm.
That stood out to me a long time ago before any of the exposure came out. And she later told him it's a prank. It's a prank. The camera was sitting in the middle of the table somewhere. How she had it propped up. But that was a cue to let me know that everything wasn't peaches and cream in the relationship, which that anyway. Like once you get a certain age, you just know that
Oh
it comes with the
yeah.
territory. But
Yeah.
those were little cues that I would see. How she would jerk at him, and all that stuff. But Nonetheless, when she went live, I didn't take a side. My exact thought was, oh, they fighting. you know,
Mm-hmm.
clearly, not taking a side, but what started making me really pay attention to it was when the little bill insults came out and the shrimp and the showing the tax returns. I said, oh,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
they
Yeah.
not
That was
just
a red
fighting.
flag.
She hot. She has a point to prove, and it's not a good point.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew then.
Yeah,
I
it
knew
really
then.
that flag really started turning red at that point for me. I'm like, no, you're not hurt. You're scorned. Like he had to like I knew at that point that she wasn't ending the marriage.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what that
And
gave me.
listen, hell has no fury
Yeah,
for a woman scorned.
yeah, that's what I
So,
got. Yeah,
but you
when
know
she
what? Even in the topic that we're talking about today, think about all that was going on. All these content creators, all this fashion. This man lost he was already trying to pick his following up. Like all that was going on. Look how peaceful he stayed.
yeah,
He stayed
yeah,
so peaceful in the middle of all that chaos. Like all
yeah,
that chaos going on. And he stayed so peaceful. And of course, he would have a little rant here and there. He deserves that. Give him that.
yeah,
He would have a little rant here and there and different things, but I have to applaud him. I have to applaud the man. Cause honey,
yeah,
some brothers I know, it would have been a whole
yeah.
different a situation. A whole different situation. Not
Oh,
situation, but
absolutely.
situation. Yeah. It would have been a whole
Well,
different
yeah, he
situation.
definitely had plenty of opportunities to show his hand, and which that's another thing too that made me rest and be comfortable with my decision. Me
Hmm.
seeing how he handled certain situations, I'm like, no, a abusive man would have hit you right about now. Like at this point here,
Right.
he would have put hands and feet on you at this point. So
Yeah.
by him not even engaging in certain things, it just was clear to me who
What it
the
was.
aggressor in certain situations. I'm not going to say that I believe that she was always the aggressor in everything they've had, but I can tell who was more masculine in their energy.
Yeah.
And so once I started to feel like she was being dishonest, and that once I started to see the plot of her really trying to take him down, then that's what kind of like, I was already triggered because I'm like, women go through this so much. I've seen it firsthand. So for you to come out in the midst of a domestic violence, I think it was domestic awareness month as well. So for you to come out in this season and trigger actual victims, I took like great offense to that.
Yes, I did too. And it
Yeah.
goes back to our topic, handling chaos. And by the way, welcome in, Hercules. Hey, Cree. Someone else came in, Brittany. Hi, Brittany. Hey, Cancer. I don't think I spoke to you, baby. Thank you guys for joining us. Um, how to deal with chaos. I can only imagine how chaotic someone's life would get after they get exposed for doing a 911 call on an innocent person, and being a social media influencer. you know um how did she handle her chaos? How did Robert handle his chaos? Because them two had to be going through a lot of chaos. And
Yeah.
that's what it goes back to saying your comment, take a break from social media if it's triggering to you. And I don't understand why purposely, if you don't have to deal with
Yeah.
something that triggers you, why deal with it? Like, I never watched
Yeah.
her content. The only content I would come across is if it was shared on one of the CC's, pages when they were
Yeah.
giving us updates. But like, she was very triggering to me, and I didn't want to feel the emotions that I felt, because then it goes back to your spirituality. You don't want to
Mhm.
be mean and hateful and uh, say a bunch of nasty things.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be a light in the world of darkness. And I just, I've had enough time where I can kind of tell, how people deal with things, and the words that fly out of your mouth when you're upset or mad or disappointed, if a person needs a little couch time too, you know, but definitely backing up from social media and not
Mhm.
indulging in things on purpose. Like, if your life is already chaotic, why are you going to go to a channel that's going to trigger you more? It's going to, because those toxins build up in our body. Heaven forbid. I don't know I got almost a clean bill of health now. I've had my mammogram, I've had a CAT scan.
Mhm.
Um, as far as like being cancerous, because cancer runs in our family, you know. And that's another thing. This man don't took a journey through something that's taking his mother away from him. You know,
Yeah.
cancer, like cancer. Like,
Yeah.
who wants to purposely deal with things that's gonna fill our bodies with toxic emotions? Because they just really are draining, and they make us sick physically as well
Yeah.
as unhealthy mentally.
Yeah.
So
But you
much.
know what though? It's kind of different for them though, because the only reason why I would say it's a little different for them is because this is their job. You know what I mean? Like,
That's
it's
true.
easy for us to step away, like the people who chose, to do like segments on their life, but it's
Hmm.
not the same. It doesn't look the same for them, in my opinion, because this is how they make their living. You know what I'm saying? So
Facts.
this is, yeah, so it's this is good advice for us. I would not know what to tell a content creator who
Right. That's
lives.
true. I didn't even think about that aspect of it, Lux, for real. Like, God, that's your livelihood. That's your money. That's
That's
your
how you
rent.
make
That's your
money.
car payment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
And
but
we
I
know that,
definitely, my hat is
so
off to Robert, baby, because, honey,
yeah, yeah.
mm,
And you know what, my hands is, and I even extend that same grace to Brianna as well. Um,
hmm,
to me, what went on with Brianna is a derivative of someone who does not have the ability to create their own content. See, Robert has been doing this forever. It's
hmm,
nothing for him to go and put on the Michael Jackson suit. It's nothing for him to be creative and go and make reels about different things, because he's
yeah,
been doing it for a long time. But when you have someone who is not used to that type of lifestyle, and then they come
hmm,
into it, and then they're being forced to separate from that lifestyle, it can be difficult as far as like trying to figure out how to navigate without that person. So you're kind of stuck in a sense, because you've created this online persona. And
yeah,
so now it's like, okay, but I don't know what else to do. So that's why we get all these recycled reels, from
hmm,
her of what she's already done, and then it's like, okay, well, let me get on this domestic violence crusade and accuse you of that.
yeah,
That's kind of, I'm like, that's the way I kind of see what happened. To
hmm,
me, because she does not know how to create content, because she's not an authentic content creator. She chose this route.
yeah. I think
Yeah,
she would have personally, I think, this is just my opinion. In the multiple chats that I have been in, there's been people throwing gems at her and saying things like, make content with you and the kids at the grocery store, um, make content with you and the kids cooking and things of that nature. Where then you might have somebody else to say, well, maybe she don't want her kids or whatever. But with everything that we bear witness to, I
yeah,
think, a long time ago, if she would have just come out and said, I messed up, you know, the world would have been a lot more forgiving, you know,
Yeah.
and she could have turned it around and probably grew her what do you call it, her numbers, what is the word they
Yeah.
use?
Yeah. Authentic in an authentic way, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Her following, yeah.
Yeah, her
Yeah.
following. Yeah.
So I definitely would not know. I was just telling her, Miss White, I don't know how much you heard, but I wouldn't know what to tell a content creator like Brianna, like how to navigate that, because it's easy for us to step away from the internet and like
Hmm.
take our breaks, and we, some of us may not even be missed. You know what I mean? You may not even know this, but
Right.
um for them it looks different because this is where they make their income. You know,
Mm-hmm.
um,
Hmm.
Absolutely.
I wouldn't know how to tell. I think Robert has demonstrated how to navigate it perfectly.
Yeah,
Um, but
definitely.
yeah, yeah,
Right.
uh,
Can you think of a better person that I ain't gonna say a better person, but a better situation where that has been demonstrated just
yeah,
through all of that?
yeah, yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
seriously, like I try to think of it and I can't.
I
Me
can't
either.
either. Because to
Me
me, that's
either.
the worst. That's the worst that you can do to a man, especially a black man. You know what I mean? It's so, the stigma is already not in their favor when it comes to almost everything. So stuff like this can really um like it can lock them up mentally, physically. You know what I mean? So
Yep.
I think that God, I mean, I think Robert did a good job in allowing God to fight his battle.
Yeah.
And that I think, God um put all of these different individuals, as far as, the content creators and people who saw things and pointed out things, that, know,
Right.
like the world. So I think that was God's way of fighting for him. So
Yeah,
he,
I absolutely agree with you. I'm just like, um, you know, God, through all of this that we bear witness to, we know that God was in the midst, and it's not always what we do, it's the spirit that we do it with, you know. It's
yeah,
the spirit that drives you to doing what you're doing. Where I feel, if my spirit wanted, to reconcile with my husband who I messed up with and who I made mistakes with, um, like trying to make him jealous would be one thing. But I guess we shouldn't really go too deep into that, but because like I said, our page is definitely not centered around the saga. But
yeah,
um, I definitely believe that in life, everything that we say and do is
Hmm.
it's the energy behind it. It's the emotions behind it. If I were to twerk in a nightclub, I'm hanging out with my friends and I start twerking, you know, like I'm just doing it to be a butthole or a clown, but I'm doing it really good. I'm twerking really good. And my friends like, get it, girl, get it, girl. Then you have somebody else that's twerking. Their intention may be to see who they can snag and take home and do the one night stand with, because their energy is different from mine. My energy is I'm entertaining my girls and we kicking it, having fun.
Right.
That other sister that's twerking, how she trying to catch something. You know what I'm saying? She trying to do a little something something after the club closed down. So it's the same in life scenarios. To me, I look at it all one and the same. The
yeah,
energy that
yeah.
we operate in. And I was looking at
Absolutely.
Cancer 66. You want to read her comment, Sissy? Or did you want to elaborate on what I'm saying?
She said my eye opener was when I showed my husband the video with the 911 call, and the first thing he said is she's setting him up, and he didn't even follow them. Like it was just apparent. So did you think differently until you saw that call? Was that what you said?
Me?
That when she no Cancer 66 when she
Oh.
heard her husband
Mm-hmm.
speak on that, was that the because I see she says eye opener, but were you swayed differently before your husband pointed that out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I can't even say I was swayed. I just ran with it because I was triggered from, um, my own personal experiences. So I absolutely know I wasn't swayed.
Mm-hmm.
I picked a side. Like literally, I picked a side. I automatically, I put my mom's face on hers, and that is
Mm.
all I needed. And I think that is what's
Wow.
going on with a lot of supporters, that chose,
To
to
support her.
fight the fight on her behalf. Yeah, like I
Yeah.
think. Well, I mean, it is. It's a mental battle, and I think a lot of people. Honestly, I don't think the internet is a good place for a lot of people, especially if you're um still like dealing with your own battles that's very similar to that. I don't think this will be a good place um
Right.
to like look for solace. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because
And you talk about the bias
it's
and unbiasedness of it all. Definitely.
Yeah, and that's where the
yeah,
complicit and non-complicit biasness come in.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
yeah,
which is something else we need to talk
yeah.
about too, because a lot of people don't know what that is or understand it.
True.
What
But
makes
can
us
you
do
imagine
certain
where he
things?
would be if he did not have those videos, y'all?
Oh,
If
he'd
he
be
didn't
messed
have
up.
those things recorded for
Mm.
his own protection, can you imagine?
Yeah, yeah. He would be. But you know what though? Actually, well, yeah, a lot of those videos that he had offset what she was originally saying.
Mm-hmm.
So he did come back and play a lot of because there was some videos that was clipped for her benefit, and he came back and played the entire video that showed something different. So
Right.
yeah, he
Yeah.
definitely did that. But I would also say she kind of told on her own self a lot, like because a lot of the debunking actually was her videos were used
Right. Yeah.
for it. So you mean I don't know, I guess I just look at that like God, if you're protected, you're protected. And um if it's meant for you to be proven innocent, that's what it's going to be. And even if he has to use the mouth of that very person that's accusing you, that's what, if it got to be done, it got to be done. So
Yeah.
I don't think nothing really could have, he was going to be vindicated regardless
That's
because
true.
he wasn't wrong.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, that's
What
how I
you do
look
in
at
the
it.
dark always comes to light. It's nothing you can do or say to change that because it was already spoken in the beginning. Hi, Tanisha. Welcome in. And Cancer, I see your comment. You said you believed her at first and really felt sorry for her.
Yeah, and I guess to draw the subject back into what you guys were talking about as far as like on the mental health side, I do think
Mm-hmm.
that a lot of people's mental health played in this entire thing, which what made it a saga. You know, um, the way that we process things, and your background and everything that you've experienced, people literally brought that into this situation and made it something totally different than what it was. And if a lot of people choose to zone in on their mental health a little better, this
Right.
could have been avoided as well, because we have a lot of triggered people who projected in this situation
Mm-hmm.
and made it to be
Ooh,
whatever it
wait.
was that they wanted to see.
Mm.
So
If I
I
tell
think
you,
it,
you hit the
yeah,
nail on the head, honey. Like there's been times that when, say, Lupac or Chatty or someone, shared a clip or, her upper shared her content, I was like, gosh, the mental state that one must be in, you know.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
To even believe this. Yeah. 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 We're all just watching, you know, just a bunch of mental chaos that has just formed, and that's what I was trying to convey with upper them last night. It's the energy, you know, a lot of things where we are more, you know, spiritual beings than physical, you know what I mean, like
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
we're physical beings having a well, we're spiritual beings having a physical experience. So
Yes.
it's kind of like you really have to take a step back and examine what's going on with all of these ongoing feuds. You know what I mean? Like it started here, it birthed here, and it just so happens to make it all the way down to content creators who were fighting for the same cause. And when you look at the whole situation, it's like, what's really going on here? Like, are we really battling each other, or is this a energy that we all need to send back where it came from? Because this didn't
Well, you
even
know
start on
what?
our
We
side, like this type of energy.
we have to be honest about that. Some of them are battling each other, and you know, let's just be honest, because everybody didn't come in this for the same reasons. So you may have a
That's true.
content creator who came in on it because they really believed in him and supported him, and
Yeah.
you got people who join into content creation by saying, "Oh, I can do it better than what she's doing." You mean to tell me that's all I got to do is get up there and do that, and they'll send me cash apps? Well, let me make a page too.
Right.
You know, you have a lot of
Yeah.
that. So their hearts and agendas weren't in the right place. So when the dust settles, we're left with what we're dealing with now, which is sad, but it's the truth.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
true.
Cancer
Yeah.
66
It's just I
says,
don't know. I just
Lux.
Hey, I'm here.
Oh, okay. I thought you had lost your sound for a minute. Um, Cancer 66 says she just never want to call a victim
Can you
of
hear me?
DV. Yes.
Yeah,
Can you
I
hear
can hear
us?
you.
Okay. I'm gonna tell her to drop down and come back up, sissy. I'm gonna type it in the
I
chat.
could hear her. I could hear her. I don't know if you just couldn't hear her, but let's see. Did she drop down? Let me put the link back up for her.
Okay, while we're working on Lux Sound, um, I'll finish reading Cancer 66 comment. I just never want to call a victim of DV a liar. This saga has taught me to be open minded and look at the entire picture before judging people. Yes, that's true. And then Hercules says it kind of reminds him of Chris Sale and Queen, I guess
Nice.
that's Nigel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Queen Naja. Yeah.
Nigel. I
The
never
one
really liked this story.
I just introduced you to some of her music. Remember?
Oh, that Queen Naja. Okay, gotcha. Okay, but I didn't get a chance to check her history or anything.
Ah.
Yeah.
But yeah, her.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was looking to see if anyone else had put any um put any comments in the chat that maybe they want to elaborate on.
Yeah. And you also know, like if y'all notice, I think a lot of, well, I do agree with Miss White too about the spirit like of competition. I also see where, because we also question like, okay, why this person, keeps coming to the internet when they have this issue, or why this is going on. A lot of people, and this kind of goes back to your mental health and where you are. A lot of people don't have a lot of friends, like in reality. A lot of people, um, there are some people who just don't do friends, and so they may come here to do that, to make friends. And I think, and I also can kind of see how it was so easy for Bree to get sucked into, you know, coming online and doing what she did to kind of start this. Um, this is also like a a sponge for a person who doesn't have any other outlet or doesn't see any other way out of a situation besides expressing themselves online, because it gains the attention from
Yeah.
other people.
How do you feel about people who actually have the need to get attention? You know what I mean? I've never been an attention seeker, like, ever. I just, like, some things I just don't comprehend why someone needs so much attention, from strangers that are, as they like to say, people they never met. And you would think with a platform of her magnitude, or even Robert's platform size, um, what you're feeding the world, you know.
Well, let me interject there because everybody have different reasons as to why they need, require, and want attention. Some
Hmm.
people
Yeah.
is not for good reasons, but some have good reasons. Some people it's their
Hmm.
upbringing, it's a sense of security to help
Yes.
cover in other things that they lack. It's
Yeah.
a sign sometimes that something is wrong. Um,
Hmm.
so they seek attention to cover up, mask different
Yeah.
things. And a lot of people do it, but it's not necessarily in a bad way. But then you have
Yeah.
some people
Yeah.
who absolutely do it in a bad way. So that's where our discernment comes in, where we have to, be watchful and mindful.
Yeah, Miss
Sharp
White.
as
That's exactly what I was just gonna say.
sharp as the serpent, but calm as the dove, and you just have to handle people accordingly.
Hmm.
You have to handle people
Hmm.
accordingly because
Yeah.
sometimes they mean absolutely no harm. They have developed a safety mechanism for themselves. I'm not
Yes.
saying that that's what her case is, but when you
Hmm.
ask like you never understood it, it's just different reasons why people do that, and they don't
Yeah.
necessarily mean any harm or ill will. It's they
Hmm.
develop safety mechanisms to keep themselves safe, or
Yes, I was
um,
about to say that.
And
yeah,
Yeah.
I
it's
have
not
to be
necessarily.
Imagine a
careful with
child
that
that grew
thought.
up. Well, imagine a child that grew up that never got the attention that they needed from their mom and their dad, or the people that was,
Hmm.
around them, that was important. Like, imagine that type of individual coming up. Like, there are good reasons to want attention, and there's bad. Like, and then there's some people who go by getting the attention the bad way because they may not feel like they're good enough to get it the good, in the good way.
Hmm.
Um, Everybody
And
have
then they
their
begin to
reasons,
create these
and it
different
all goes back.
identities of who they
Yes.
begin to create different
Yeah.
identities of who they want to be, who they want people to see them as. And
Hmm.
Yes. Yeah.
we have empaths that do that as well. So but then you got to remember, everybody talk about the narcissist, but we have 9 different types of empaths, and all of them are not good. So
Right.
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
research 13,
Yeah.
sissy. And we're gonna do a live on empaths as well, sometime here in the near future. Because definitely empaths, it's, for me, this is just my personal opinion. I think that it's totally a gift from God. You know what I mean? And with all the times and the years that
oh
I've spent, say again, sissy, you
no, you
froze.
was saying from God. I was like, oh girl, like yes, you're right, like absolutely.
Yeah. So, I I I'm,
Hmm.
I'll come back to that.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're gonna
Listen, all of our gifts
do
come from God. It's just how we choose to use them. Some use them for
right.
good, some use them for
Yes.
bad. But
Yes.
you know,
Yeah.
trust me,
Yes. Because
the devil ain't
the
down there
devil
handing out
was in
no
heaven.
rewards.
Fact.
Uh-huh. And the devil was in heaven as well, and he got kicked out. So we got to remember that.
Yep.
Got to remember
That's
that
right.
he was a part of the kingdom, and he
That's
wanted
why
to
he
do
knows what
things the
works
way he
best.
wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yep.
That's why he
Yes.
knows what works best. That's exactly why. Well, ladies, we've
Yeah.
passed our 2 hour mark. This has been a really good conversation today. It was a smooth place to come to, a good atmosphere to come
Was.
to in the middle of all the other
Yeah.
chaos
Thank
going
y'all
on
for having
around
me.
us on YouTube, to the point where we may get to do it again tomorrow. I think we should add on to
Yeah.
this because this was really good discussion. Um,
Yeah.
so maybe
Yeah.
we might find,
I
honey,
enjoyed
all so much
tonight.
going on. We might can find a little 2 hour slot to fit in somewhere
Mm.
in here tomorrow. If you're down for it, Lux, what is your availability like?
Okay, well, for me, I'm not sure if I because so I have a regular job, and when I'm at my job, that's when I be sneaking and geeking, like my 401 voice. I be kind of
I
like
get it.
zoning in and out with what you guys have going on, and then normally when I get off work, I do hair too. So I
Okay.
do property management during the day,
Well,
and
we may
then
just
I
do it
run my hair.
anyway. And if you can fill in and fit in, then
Yeah, if
you're more than
I'll
welcome.
jump
If
in if
not,
I
we'll
can.
just carry on.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. Um, I think this this weekend coming up, I am debating between cooking like I'm heavily thinking about the spinach feta spinach stuffed chicken breast. I'm thinking of between that and something, but I'm really leaning towards that. Last minute I may change my mind, but right now I think I'm gonna do the stuffed chicken breast. Have you made a decision for your dinner this weekend? What you're gonna cook?
I have not, but you're gonna do chicken breast, you say?
Yeah, feta spinach stuff with spinach and feta cheese and some other cheeses stuffed in the chicken breast
Okay.
with the homemade mashed potato maybe and something.
Okay.
Look, look.
I saw something that I was interested in, but um, considering that, well, I'm thinking about salmon with stuff with a filling, stuffed salmon.
Okay,
That's what I'm
okay,
thinking
okay,
about.
okay,
Well, all
okay,
right,
okay.
ladies,
That
I'm gonna head
sounds
on out.
good.
I appreciate you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Thank
we
thank
cook
you
on
for inviting me
Saturdays
you.
up.
and we just talk through the week. So we talk through the week and we cook on
Okay,
Saturdays. Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
okay,
We
okay.
chat and chew it up on Saturdays.
And
All
listen,
right
we
then.
so appreciate you, Lux, and we appreciate you guys in the
Yeah,
chat.
absolutely. Everybody in
Yeah,
the
Yeah, no
chat, thank you
problem.
guys for coming in.
No
Thank
problem.
you
It was
for
a
not running away in the time of turmoil because I hear that there's a lot of ruckus going on around us in these
oh
YouTube
uh-oh.
yeah,
streets. So thank you guys for hanging in there with us and enduring it.
yeah.
We'll continue to build on top of this topic as we go along.
Yes,
Okay,
we
Yeah,
will.
okay.
yeah, yeah. It was such a pleasure, Lux. You are a very articulate young lady. You speak well. You're easy to listen to. And I enjoy listening to you. So I want to thank you again for coming up.
Well,
You're
thank
super,
you. I
super,
enjoy you
super
guys
dope.
as well.
Yeah,
Super dope.
Tiffany say,
Yes,
I
yes. We'll
love
meet
when Lux
again.
speaks. She said, I
Yeah, yeah.
love to hear Lux
You
speak.
know,
Well,
great minds
I
always
feel
think
like I'm
alike.
so country. I'm so
What?
country, but hey, me
You're
and
from
Amber
what?
is in the same. Me and Amber
In
both is in
Alabama?
Alabama. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Hmm.
okay. I'm a country girl too, girl. So I understand. What was your zodiac sign?
I was Gemini.
Oh, you're a
Um,
Gemini. Okay, I didn't know that. Okay, okay. Well, I guess we'll try to reconvene again tomorrow and let some of this other background noise die down that's going on around us in these YouTube streets as we speak. So, with that being said, give y'all something to chew on as we go out.
All
All right.
right. Thank you guys. Bye
You're
bye.
welcome.